Some games require no explanation. You can look at them and see exactly what's going on, understand the premise. Something like Street Fighter 2, two men in karate gis kicking the crap out of each other. But when you've got a similar type of game, only it's Ronald Reagan dressed as a clown beating up the Ayatollah Khomeini, then you need a bit more of an explanation. And that's what this video is about, strangely enough. So, shall we get into the nitty and the gritty and the gritty and the nitty? Yes. On the 28th of September, original co-creator Roger Law announced the return of the ugly latex puppet satire show Spitting Image. It's interesting to see it come back now, with satire pretty much being pointless in 2019 because the world's gone completely mental and beyond parody. But here we are though, it's back, so let's have a look at the history of the show and a bigger look at the computer game that was inspired by it. Spitting Image was created by Peter Fluck, Roger Law and Martin Lambinean in 1984. Controversial but nearly always hilarious, Spitting Image ran for 12 years and swung around its parody hammer at anyone vaguely famous, be they sports stars, celebrities, the royal family, world leaders and of course every major British politician of the time. The caricatures were horrendous, so ugly that if they were real, children would cry instantly at seeing them, and even the mangiest of feral dogs wouldn't eat food directly from their hands. From Douglas Hurd's ice cream hair, to John Major's grey pallor skin, to Neil Kinnock's ginormous misshapen face and schnoz, to Gorbachev's hammer and sickle birthmark. If you were a celebrity with low self-esteem issues in 1988, say, and you switched to Spitting Image, you'd be in for a miserable time. But it would certainly be a good time for those of the general populace who switched on in their millions, 15 million to be exact, at its peak. It was usually the last thing that I would watch on a Sunday night before I went to bed, even though I didn't have a clue what was going on with most of the sketches. Look, they look funny. Spitting Image launched the careers of a vast array of stars such as Harry Enfield, Phil Cool, Kate Robbins, Alistair McGowan, Hugh Dennis, John Coleshaw, Chris Barry from Red Dwarf and Steve Coogan. It was effective, fearless, smart comedy with a sizzling chunk of plurality and a sprinkling of the absurd mixed in to its big old ugly latex froth. So Spitting Image was incredibly popular a television series, and what we've learned from this series, as long as TV programmes are more popular than, say, a local weather programme for the Isle of Skye in the 80s, then a games publisher would turn up with a big old briefcase full of money, slap it down and demand the licence. But what did Domark and developer Walking Circles decide to do with a political satire show starring butt-ugly rubber puppets? Well, they went for a silly version of International Karate or Way of the Exploding Fist, but starring numerous world leaders of the era. I mean, sure, Mortal Kombat 11 may let you pit DLC guest stars such as Todd McFarlane's Spawn or Batman's The Joker and Arnold from the Terminator against each other. But in this game, released a full 31 years earlier, you could have put Margaret Thatcher into an arena and got her to smash the teeth out of Pope John Paul II's holy fizzog. Beat that, NetherRealm Studios, you're not gonna. The preamble has a prophet declare that within the next 7 years, so 1995, there will be a war instigated by a mysterious leader, and it will be so horrendous that the Italians have already surrendered before anything has kicked off, and so violent that even the Swiss will want to get involved in all this slaughter. To avoid all this, 6 world leaders have agreed to have a big old fist fight adjudicated by Queen Elizabeth II, with the winner being the undisputed ruler of the world. Who was the prophet that came up with that plotline? Was it Dominic Cummings? Eh? The 6 1988 world leaders are Maggie, representing the UK, USA Prez Ronald Reagan, Michael Gorbachev from the USSR, Ayatollah Khomeini from Iran, P.W. Botha from South Africa, and the Pope from Vatican City. Vatican City has a population of about 1,000 people. If I was the leader of, say, India or China, I'd be pretty disappointed that I didn't get a chance at having a say in running the world. The fighters must brawl over a best of 3 fights in a variety of world locales. Gameplay, well, don't expect Street Fighter movesets, cancels, combos or any of that jazz, or even the cagey timing of IK+, that this game is closer to both in its age, its feel and its inspiration. There are barely any moves per character, and the ones that are here are usually mildly amusing. The Ayatollah punches with his beard. Ronald Reagan, dressed as a clown because he was seen as a bit dim, uses his head as a club by sort of weirdly distending his neck. That feels uncomfortable. And the white supremacist leader of South Africa, P.W. Botha, whacks out his trouser piglet and gets it to sick up a stream of hot, steaming yellow water. You can also bring in a sidekick to assist, with Maggie getting old hubby Dennis in to throw stuff, while the Pope here brings in his cardinals. These fellas are game breaking, well, as much as it's possible to break the mechanics of a hastily thrown together 8-bit TV licensed beat 'em up. Stand on the left hand side of the screen and keep calling on your buddy and spamming the special move and you'll be fine. Too fine. Street Fighter 2 this ain't. Collision detection is very ropey too, and the only way to see if you're doing any damage, due to the lack of damage, pops, explosions or whatever you want to call them, or even any sound effects, is to check out the sides of the screen. This will show you how much damage you're doing or not doing to your opponent. Unfortunately, this makes the game feel very clunky and unwieldy, sadly. Get to the climactic battle and the screen goes completely black as the Queen decides you should mud wrestle in Philip's pool in the dark. The last battle is represented by eyes and yellow mud splats, so don't be expecting to win by skill. Luck is the true martial art. Was this a comedic creative choice to do this, or an attempt to save time or maybe memory on doing another character as a boss? I'm not sure. The end of the game reveals that that mysterious leader that you beat in the mud wrestle was none other than Sylvester Stallone. Yeah, Sylvester Stallone. I was expecting that world leader, wasn't you? I'm dead smart. While I emulated this, apparently it's far worse for 48k Spectrum users who had to individually load each character, with more loading than gameplay happening in a session of 48k latex-faced pugilism. The Specky magazines had this as an average title, and you know what, they're probably right. Your Sinclair pointed out that the loading times took away from a nicely packaged and well executed beat 'em up and slapped a 6 out of 10 on it. Sinclair user gave it a 70%, saying that the game was excellently programmed and offered laughs along with the mayhem. Crash magazine called it a mediocre beat 'em up that plays much better than it looks, and they're right. They gave it a 64. It's very pretty and all, and I admire the game's attempt at capturing the anarchy of the series, but overall it's not brilliant, and you would be advised to just go and watch a few clips on YouTube. It is funny. Hold a chicken in the air, stick a deck chair up your nose, buy a jumbo jet, and then bury all your clothes. Paint your left knee green, then extract your wisdom teeth. Form a string quartet and pretend your name is Keith. Wonderful, wonderful lyrics. And that's it for today. Okay, thanks, bye.